In this video, we're going to go over the Got It number 1 in lesson 7.6, sketching a function graph. All right, remember the objective is we're going to be able to sketch the graph of a function when given a real-world situation. Okay, so let's look at the Got It. It says, make sure you've tried this before you watch the video to make sure that you know that you got it correct or not. It says it says you have an empty bucket in your yard to collect rainwater. Rain falls for 6 hours and then stops. After 5 hours, the rain begins again and lasts for 1 more hour. Sketch a graph to represent the volume of water in your bucket during this time. All right, remember from the example, the first thing we have to do is figure out, number 1, the variables being related. All right, in this case, it is the volume, right? It says sketch a graph to represent the volume of water. So we're talking about the volume, which they didn't really give us the units, they just said volume. And then we're talking about hours is the other variable. These are the two things that are changing in our situation. So we have the volume, we'll call that V, and then time. In this case, they told us it was hours, so we'll call that T. Remember, time is the input and volume is the output. And they tell us to sketch the graph of the volume of rainwater in the bucket. Volume of rainwater in the bucket. That's what they want the graph to be about. So make sure you put the volume is along the y-axis, and then time in hours is along the x-axis. Okay, the next thing you should have done is get the keywords that describe the relationship. Okay, which in this case, let's go back to the example. The Got It, yeah. You have an empty bucket of water. It's empty. The bucket in your yard to collect rainwater, Rain falls for 6 hours. So if we say that rain falls for 6 hours, that means that the volume in the bucket is going to go up. So this is an increasing interval. All right, and we know that the graph, the sketch is going to start at the origin because it says it's an empty bucket. All right, then it says rain falls for 6 hours, which means the volume is going to go up. So it's an increasing interval. And then it says it stops. And after 5 hours, it begins again. So the fact that it says it stops and then after 5 hours, what that means is that the rain stops for 5 hours. So that is a constant interval because when the rain is stopped, the volume of the bucket, nothing's happening to the volume. The rain is stopped, so it's not filling up. That's why it's a constant interval. Then here it says the rain begins again and lasts for 1 more hour. That's important. That means that if the rain falls for 1 more hour, that's another increasing interval because the volume in the bucket is going to go up again. All right, so the last thing we need to do, number 3, is to sketch and label the graph. Okay, so we want to think about how long was the rainstorm here? How many hours should this go up to? Well, let's count how many hours the graph should go up till. It says rain falls for 6 hours, so there's 6, and then it stops for 5, there's another 5. 6 plus another 5 hours is going to be 11 hours, and then it says the rain falls for 1 more hour. See how we're adding up the hours? So we have 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 1 more is 12. So we know that our graph has to go at least up to 12. All right, so maybe you want to go by 1s along the x-axis. Maybe you want to go by 2s. I'm going to make it go by 2s. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. And now let's sketch it here. We have the rain falls for 6 hours. So from 0, it's going to start at 0, right? Because we had an empty bucket. So for the first 6 hours, from 0 to 6 hours, you're going to show an increasing interval. Go all the way to 6, right? Because the volume in the bucket is increasing when it rains. And then it goes on for 5 more hours. It's constant for 5 hours because the rain stops. So that's going to take us from 6 to 11, the 11th hour. So you're going to make your constant interval. Make sure it's straight across. That should be lined up at the 11th hour. And then it says for the last hour, it increases again. So the rain is going to go up again. Because it says the rain falls for 1 more hour. Okay. So the last thing we're going to do is label the graph. So here is when the rain falls for 6 hours. Here is when the rain stops for 5 hours. And then lastly, right there is when the rain falls for 1 more hour. All right, make sure you have all the correct work with the correct graph. And then you're going to look at example number 2. It's a lot quicker.